Welcome to the Root of Power podcast, where I teach you how to chase your joy, find alignment, and create a life and a business that you love, using actionable methods, interviews, and inspiring stories from people who know that true freedom is found within. I'm your host, your always hype woman and sometimes ass kicker, Amanda Chills, and I am so proud of you for choosing to step into your power. Come along, we've got dreams to build. Okay, my love, I have put everything that I offer for free on one page so that we are not doing more work than we have to, because why would we do that? Hashtag work smarter, not harder. So livemyhappyhealth.com/free. You are going to find everything I've created for not only leveling up in your personal life and building a life that you love, but leveling up in your business life and building a business that you love. Okay? livemyhappyhealth.com/free. Love you. Good morning, afternoon, nighttime. I never know when people listen to these podcasts. Root of Power fam. We have got Sam Hoffman with us, who got up at 5 a.m. because she's in California to come talk to us. So let's just start with gratitude, because your girl's not going to have a 5 a.m. for a podcast. I was so love everyone so much, but I just love sleep more. So Sam is a confidence coach who works to help you silence your inner critic, which, thank God. You're going to hear my cat throughout this episode because he's very upset that I'm not paying attention to him.
No worries. I have two kittens hidden in another room that luckily you can't hear from here, but yeah, I feel it.
Kittens are monsters, dude.
Yes.
Like gremlins.
Yes. Luckily we have two, they're together, so they don't give us too much of a hard time because they have each other. But one of them's super needy, and he gets really mad when we kind of put him to the side.
So inner critic. So I work with a lot of people, and especially women, who they beat themselves up all day long. And a lot of women come to me and they say, I have depression, I have anxiety, I have trauma. And I'm like, yes, all those things. But once we start clearing the inner critic, so much of that alleviates. And how did you get in this field, and how did you start focusing on the inner critic? Talk to us about that journey.
Yeah. So, a lot of the things that come out of this, it's typically kind of through your own story, I think. It gets really personal. So I didn't start with the whole confidence thing. I kind of struggled with my weight my whole life, and food was always a really big issue for me. And it was kind of a generational thing. Dieting was just kind of something I grew up with.
Oh yeah.
Grandmother, mother, me,
Everyone.
yes.
Yeah.
And I kind of I had kids, which sort of changes a lot of things in your life.
Literally.
And
Everything.
yeah. And at some point, and I have a daughter, and at some point, I was kind of like, I don't really want this for her. And I was like, okay, I've got to figure this out. I've got to make some changes. I've got to get healthy. And so frequently when people are like, I'm going to get healthy, they're like, I'm going to lose weight, right? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to
get an eating disorder.
Yeah. Exactly. So I got healthy, and I got, really into the whole health and fitness and all of that. And then, I found this passion, and I was super excited about it. And so I got, certified as a personal trainer.
Nice.
And then I got into health coaching, and I was like, oh, this is so great. And I just couldn't get enough of it, right? It was just more and more. And I did all this research, and I ended up taking my master certification so that I could do motivational interviewing and appreciative inquiry and just all of that stuff. It was just when you just find something and you're like, oh my God, I just I'm loving this. So there was this there's this book, I think it's the motivational interviewing for nutrition and fitness. And so I'm reading it, and it gets to this point where it starts talking about weight loss. Now, keep in mind, at this point, I've lost a ton of weight, I'm super into fitness, all of this. And so I start reading it, and it's going on about how, as we know, diets don't really work and blah, 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 and going into all this. And I was looking at it, and I'm like,
What?
no, like this can't be right. It's like it's literally like I felt like throwing this book and it was just this brief little chapter in this
Yeah,
book that just like I swear it was like a paragraph that just like made me just sit and kind
like
of stare at
punched
the
you in the
wall.
face.
Yeah. And just like question everything. And I was like, I don't understand. And so then I kind of started learning more about like intuitive eating and food
Mhm.
freedom and all of that stuff. And it just really kind of developed from there because I realized that me personally, I had put all this effort into, working out constantly and
Yeah.
restricting all the time. And when it came down to it, I don't love my body any more
Mm.
than I
Yeah.
had done before. Like, of course, I loved the compliments. I loved,
Yeah.
being able to buy new clothes and feel like a little bit more confident in that.
Yeah.
But I was constantly focusing on my flaws
Yeah.
because I hadn't done the work to kind of address that negative inner critic. And so
Yeah.
it really just kind of came from there because it was a running theme. Like you said, whenever I
Mm.
was talking to women, it was really common
Yeah.
whenever they would be talking about, food and getting healthy. And it would always come up that they were really hard on themselves and beating
And not
themselves
even
up.
just that, like, welcome to being a mom.
Right.
We were like, "I'm doing everything wrong and I'm fucking up my kids."
Right? 100%. Like, the mom guilt is real,
The mom
and
inner critic is so
yeah,
real.
yes, it's
Yeah.
so true. It's so true, and I think as well because 'cause we're constantly bombarded by information and the way that we should be,
Yeah.
and,
Yep.
I think we live in a day and age where it's kind of like the loudest voice is the has the right opinion kinda thing,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
is not true, but that's just kind of where we're at right
Totally.
now.
Yeah.
And so, it can be really hard to kind of like focus in with all that noise and
Yeah.
figure out like, okay, how do I actually feel about myself? Because
Mm.
I think that was the biggest thing, and I say this a lot, is like when you're looking for self-love, it's a really nice idea to think that you're never gonna care about anybody else's opinion of you because you have family and sometimes they make comments, you have
Right.
friends and they're gonna say something. It's not like nothing's ever gonna get to you, but self-love is all about caring more about your own opinion of yourself than anyone else's. And so when I kind of like got to
Yes.
that, I was like, "Okay, this is where I wanna be. This is definitely
Yeah.
the space I wanna be helping people in."
And I love that because, like, when you work on the inner critic, it impacts so
Right.
it's like a spider web, right? Like, you
Right.
start at the center of the spider web, and then all these things offshoot from it,
Mhm.
and you don't just heal the relationship with the body or the relationship with food or the
Right.
relationship to being a mom or a wife or a partner or a person or a
Absolutely.
business owner
Mhm.
or an employee, like,
Yep.
that skill generalizes. So I tell people, like, in the beginning of therapy, in the beginning of coaching, like, you're
Mhm.
just learning to walk, okay? Just like you
Right.
want to start a baby walking on sand, but once they get the walking mechanics down, they can walk up a hill, they can walk down a hill, they can walk on sand. I mean, the
Right.
only thing you can't do is walk on water, right? So, like, you take one skill and you can generalize it to all these environments,
Mhm.
and then all of these things get better. So you're not just working through food freedom or
Right.
your body.
100%.
So I love that.
Well, it's like you said, that mom guilt, if you are used to criticizing yourself in one area of your life, you maybe don't
Mhm.
notice it, but you will do it
Right.
in other areas.
Yeah.
So if you're not feeling like enough because you
Mhm.
didn't work out or you ate cake that day, you're also telling yourself that you're not a good mom
Right.
or that, you're not working hard enough
Yep.
or you're lazy and you need to
Mhm.
do more with your family or, and it just
Yeah.
spirals if you don't kind of figure out how to kind of manage that. So
Yeah.
I
I
think
didn't realize, and I'm sure you've run into this too, I didn't realize how common shame-based motivation is until I
yes,
got into this field, and I'm like,
yes.
and you hear it, like, you hear, and it was weird because in my family, like, um, I didn't grow up a lot with shame-based motivation.
Mhm.
So it was really weird for me to get into this field and to be like, "Your parents
People
tell
do
you
that.
fucking what? Like,
Right.
what do they tell you?" Like, when I was growing up, my dad would make comments about, like, food, and my dad has weighed 192 pounds for 30 years. So if he weighs 194, he's like, I'm fat. I'm gonna eat salads for a week. And I'm like, shut up. Who are you? My dad is 80 years old and basically has a six pack. Okay. I'm like, shut up, Dad. It's from trekking and looking for all those cows. But I'm
Right.
like, yeah, I mean, he just whatever. He
You
is.
can make that probably some fitness retreat, you know?
I know. Would you like to let our cows
Search our
out? Go,
cows.
go round them up. Here you go. You just get a stick and you're running after cows. Good luck.
Yeah.
Lose 10 pounds in 3 days. I bet people would do that.
That's the thing that's making me laugh is I'm
Right,
like, you
listen.
could market
People would
that,
do
I
it.
bet.
And I'd
They
be like, and
would.
afterwards we cuddle with cows, and people are like, cuddling with cows, which
Yeah.
then means I have to make them friendly. So like, we're
Right. Or
fine.
just for like yoga with cows or something, you know what I
No.
mean? Like
You can do yoga with our donkeys. They're stupid friendly. They're dumb friendly. Johnny and June, we just love them.
oh, that's cute.
So I didn't grow up with a lot of shame-based motivation.
Right.
So when when I started getting into this, I was like, oh, those people's parents were fun. Like, what are they doing to you? And it makes me so sad because, and I'll tell you, and I bet you see this too, the people who are the hardest on themselves are the sweetest
Right. Right.
cinnamon roll
Like
type
these really
of,
beautiful people, right?
oh my God,
Yeah.
cinnamon rolls. And I'm just like, what are you? You don't even suck. What are you doing? Like,
Right.
you're so great as a person. And they're just like, I'm a garbage can. And like,
I know. I don't deserve love. I don't deserve anything. I'm not enough.
oh my
And
God,
you're
and they're
just like,
so sweet. They're like,
all I want to do is cuddle you and tell you
"Oh,
everything's okay.
I just cuddle with my cows. Like they're just
Right.
literal cinnamon rolls. And I'm just like, who taught you this? And they're always like, my family, my
Right.
parents, a coach that I had, a partner. And I'm just like, we hate these people.
Right. Right. You're
How
like,
dare
hold
they?
up. Give me names. Give me numbers. I got to
Yeah.
make some phone
Or
calls.
sending my cows after them.
Right.
Cows everything today.
I love it. No, you're
Yeah.
not wrong. And the thing is, it's like I say, I kind of said at the beginning, sometimes it's a generational thing, you know, it's kind of
Oh,
something
for
you've
sure.
inherited. And but no, I see it all the time. And what's worse is like it's kind of accepted. Like, I'm just
Oh
waiting
my
to
God,
the
so
point
normal.
where I feel crappy enough about myself because that's the time when I'm gonna do something and everything's gonna get figured out. I'm gonna start on Monday because
Right.
right now I feel so horrible and I'm giving
Right.
myself such a hard time.
Yeah.
And we celebrate that you got to that point. Congratulations, you know?
Yeah.
You're making yourself feel awful and now you're
I
gonna
think
do
you
something
hate
about it.
yourself, and then you
Right.
wonder why you're depressed.
Right. So let's try to do things because they make us feel good. Let's try to do things because
Right?
we love ourselves and
Yeah.
let's stop giving ourselves such a hard time.
Literally revolutionary. Like, I have a lot of people no, it literally like, you see it. You see it because you do this work. Like,
Right.
once you replace shame with joy,
Mhm.
oh my God. Like, if people hear nothing that we say today, I hope they hear
Right.
that. Like,
Right.
replace shame with joy because it opens up. You like, you don't have to beat yourself into submission every day. You
Mhm.
can just do things you like
Right. Isn't
because you
that
like it.
crazy?
And
Isn't
it's
that
okay
crazy?
if you're not perfect. And people are like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Yeah, like, you don't it's okay."
Right. And I
Guys,
think
it's heartbreaking.
there's a lot of comparison, right? And we know
Oh,
that that's just like
welcome to
the
social
worst
media.
place to be. I know,
Yeah,
I know. But another thing that I found is as well of like comparing ourselves to like, oh, you know, influencers or like how you should be as a mom or whatever,
yeah.
is that sometimes we'll compare ourselves to a previous version of ourselves
Mm,
and kind of beat ourselves up for not
yeah.
being that person anymore. And I think a good example of that is just like day to day. We kind of think like we're gonna be at the same level every day.
Yes. Well, you think
And
your best is always 100%.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so like I said to you at the beginning, I'm like, "Phew, I'm exhausted. I've had 2 nights of like really terrible sleep. And my self-care today is gonna look super different compared to my self-care when I've had a great night's sleep
Naps.
and right, right? And the thing
Yeah.
is that my day's gonna look different. My day still doesn't need to suck though. Like
Yeah.
yesterday when I was tired, I still managed to have a pretty good day. I worked on that, but I wasn't comparing myself to a super productive
Mm.
day. I
Yeah.
wasn't beating myself up because I didn't get enough done. I
Yeah.
wasn't beating myself up because I was super tired, and so I ate a ton of potatoes at dinner time because I just wanted that comfort carbs, like, you know?
Give
And
them
that's
to
that's so different from the person I used to be, but I think recognizing the fact that comparing ourselves to others is not the happy place, but
Yeah.
also not comparing yourself to, like, different just have that compassion every day.
Mm. And you know what's really funny is like it doesn't even work. Like criticism, it's so crazy. It's like, oh, you know what I should do to change the oil in my car? Blow up my car and then buy a new car every time. And people are like, well, that's ridiculous. And it's like, I know
Right,
because it doesn't work. Like, that's insane. But then we're like, I should definitely make myself feel like shit every single day
right.
because that's so motivating.
Right. Well, I think there's a TikTok viral thing where this woman's like, "What is like a scam nowadays that's so like
Oh,
everywhere
yeah.
that you don't even realize it's a scam?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, I would say probably dieting and, like
Beating
you say,
yourself up.
shaming yourself into that's your motivation, is it that it needs
Yeah.
to come from a shameful place? Because we
Right.
don't realize that it's not the way to go. It's kind of become
Yeah.
it's kind of mainstream that
And I tell people, like, especially if they're like a parent, they get this. I say, would you let your kid be on a team where the coach belittles them?
yes.
Only all they do. You're the worst player I've ever seen. You're a
Mhm.
piece of shit. You're never going to go anywhere. Everything you do is wrong. Da, da, da. And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, talk to me about your inner soundtrack. And they're just like, oh, fuck, I'm that coach. And I'm like, yeah, bitch, we got to stop doing
And
that.
actually, that's a great point because I think a lot of the times people think that that inner critic is like them, and a lot of the time that voice, it's other people.
Mhm.
It's a collection of whatever you've managed to accumulate on your journey of negativity, and so that voice isn't actually a reflection of you or your thoughts. It's someone else's. So I think that's a great
Yeah.
point is to be like, "Hey, who does that voice actually sound like that you've
Oh,
come
and you know
across
what's
before?"
crazy? When you ask people, they can always tell you. "Oh,
Oh,
it's my
right
mom.
away.
Oh, it's this coach that I had. Oh, it's my dad. Oh, it's an
Mhm.
ex-partner that I had." And I'm just like, "Okay, so
It's not
it's
you.
not you."
Right.
Mm, I love that. Now,
Mhm.
I was looking at your Instagram. It's so cute, by
Mhm.
the way.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
It's adorable. Um, how like, when you work with people, do you
Mhm.
have courses? Do you do coaching? Do you do, like, a group? Like, how do you work with people? And then what's kind of
Mhm.
the journey that you take them through?
Yeah, so thank you for asking. So I have a program. It's called, the 90-day confidence makeover. And
Love.
and it's all about so it's like a hybrid. I do a lot of like one-on-one, and then I like to have like the group session so that people can come in if they want to and
Yeah.
have like time together. um it's so funny. I just have to say it's so funny because when you're building a program and stuff, there's a lot of like advice and things out there, and there's so much advice out there. But I learned a lot from my actual like motivational experience, like,
Mhm.
and talking with people, you have to get someone talking. Like, you
Yeah,
obviously know that, right? It's about they need to be doing more talking than you are, and if you want them to make progress. So, I try to keep the kind of, like, course section, the stuff that they're doing by themselves. It's great for learning, but I try to
yeah,
keep it to, like, a minimum. Obviously, you don't wanna overload anyone with information. So, basically, it's like I always like to have like a full hour to kind of get started and do like a
mhm,
full breakdown of like, okay, let's see where you're at and let's see
yeah,
where we're going. And then creating a custom strategy for, because everyone's different, what fits for their lifestyle. I always
right.
say that. I'm like, you have people and they're like, well, I've heard like meditating for an hour is supposed to be really great. And I'm like, yeah, totally. Do you like meditating? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, then it's probably
Don't
not
do
for
any of
you.
that.
Like, let's not do that. Let's find out what you actually enjoy doing and it's gonna make you feel good. Um, So, yeah, so it's just about creating what's right for
Often don't do that.
yeah, exactly, but that's the thing is that we get taught that there's only one way,
Yeah.
you need to be doing this, and there's so many things that you can
Mhm.
do, and the truth is that they can all work, but you have to just
Yeah.
find what's right for
Yeah.
you and your life. So, yeah, so I'm all about creating that custom strategy and then just working, getting you talking, making
Yeah.
sure that, you're figuring out where this inner critic came from, like you say, giving it a name and then working out how to make it positive and building really healthy habits along the way for your mindset. So, like, the gratitude
Mhm.
and seeing if you're an affirmation person, working on
Yeah.
that, maybe trying to get you outside in the morning first thing, if that's something that's going to make you feel good, really focusing on self-care, making time for self-care because we
Yeah.
all have time constraints, right?
Right.
So it's about, okay, well, how do we actually fit this into your day? What's that going to look like? Because the truth is we have time. What we don't have really is energy. So
Right.
figuring out how to pick a time when you have energy to take care of yourself, making sure
Yeah.
you understand the priority for that. Stress management. I could just go on. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I'm like,
No,
wait,
no, it's
I'm kind
fine.
of rambling on here, but yeah,
No,
just
because
all
all
of
these
that
things are
fun
tied
stuff.
in.
Right, right. And so I'm a big like morning routine, evening routine kind of gal, and just
Yeah.
figuring out what'll work for you. But really, when you understand how to actually build a healthy, positive habit, and when you, like you say, you address that inner critic and it's coming from a
Mhm.
positive place, it really helps women to kind of transform because
Yeah.
they get that confidence because
Yeah.
they're not beating themselves up, they're
Yeah.
building themselves up, and they're
Ooh, yes.
actually like they're actually they feel like they're accomplishing things, they're like, oh my goodness, like I
Yeah.
can do this, I can. And it's like, yes, I know you
Yeah.
can, and I'm so excited
Literally.
that you're seeing that now. So
Yeah.
I
Please
love
put that on your website, by the way. Stop beating yourself up, build yourself up. That's
yes,
clever.
I'm going to take that. I'll make sure I make a note of that right
That is
right after
clever.
this.
Please write that down.
I will.
And I think so I love that something that kinda you just wove through your message is that when you work on your inner critic, you start to listen to your intuition
Mhm.
because you stop invalidating your own knowledge. So you're
Right.
like, "Well, is this gonna work for me?" And your inner critic is gonna go, "Nothing works for you, babe." But
Right?
when you can silence that, you're like, "Well, maybe it'll work," which, like, awesome, let's start there. And the
Right.
other thing that I really like that you wove throughout is, like, a lot of people get confidence wrong in that they think you start with feeling confident and then you take care of yourself and then your
Yeah.
life changes. But
Right.
confidence is a product of action, right? Like
Right.
you wouldn't feel confident playing the piano unless you practice the piano.
Right.
That then
Right.
it's just arrogance. If you're like, I'm going to be great at playing the piano, you've never played before, that's arrogance. But like real rooted confidence is grounded in practice. So
Mhm.
you have to start doing the things which proves to your body that you're worth taking care of because, oh,
Right.
look, you're worth taking care of yourself
Mhm.
because you're literally taking care of yourself. And then the confidence comes. So I
Absolutely.
wanted to like pull those
100%.
out and point them out.
I love that, and I love how you put that together because one of the things I hear a lot is, "Oh, right now I'm just kinda faking it till I make it." And, I which I totally get, and I'm like, "You know what? Here's the thing that I don't like about that.
Yeah.
It's that word 'fake.'"
Yeah. And
I'm
it
like,
feels fake and it feels
"Right,
out of alignment. So your body's
right.
like, oh, this is bad.
Right. And I'm like, here's the thing. What you're actually kind of doing potentially is that you are uncomfortable. You're kind of afraid of doing something and you're doing it anyway. And I'm
Mhm.
like, for me, that says courage. That doesn't
Yeah,
say
that's
fake.
not faking it.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, but a lot of the times they'll be like, oh, yeah, I don't really want to wear this swimsuit, but like I'll wear it and just kind of pretend that I'm okay. And I'm like, no, you have courage. You went out there and you
Yeah.
did something that you are not completely in your comfort zone with. And you did that. And you shouldn't be telling yourself that you're a faker. You should be telling
Yeah.
yourself, like,
I'm brave.
yeah, right.
I'm practicing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yes, no, I'm glad you hit on that.
What's something that you're working on right now with confidence?
Pardon?
What is something that you're working on right now with confidence?
Like me personally?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Well, honestly, I'm gonna see, here's the thing, right? here's the thing. It's
I just
summertime
talked about
here.
it 5 a.m.
I'm glad that you brought this up. So it is swimsuit season. So here's the thing, because I've
Yeah.
struggled with my weight like my whole life.
Mhm.
And and like I said, I lost a lot of weight and I did not keep all of that weight off. And
Yeah.
so I it is very hot in California and my mother-in-law has a pool and my body does not look the way that it did last season.
Mm.
And my mother-in-law, I love her to death. I do, I love her, but
Yeah.
I know the comments that she makes to me about other people's bodies makes me aware of what she's saying about my body to
Yeah.
other people, and so I've really had to work on that this summer to be like, "Okay, you can love someone. It's okay for them to think, like,
Mhm.
what they're thinking,
Yeah.
and just to still wear my swimsuit and get in the
Yeah.
pool with my kids and have fun." So
Yeah.
that's
And that's
that's
not about you, right? Like
right,
that's her brainwashing. Like that's
right,
her, what's it called? Conditioning. Conditioning
right.
is the word I'm looking for. And you can like ask her not to make comments about your body. That's what I do when my dad makes them. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
hey, shh, I can
Right,
eat and do what I want. Thanks.
right,
Thank
because you
you.
can.
If I want 2 plates of food, Imma eat 2 plates of food and you don't get to comment on it.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, no, so and it's just like I say, it's just been something that I've had to be aware of this summer that kind
Yeah.
of, when it, like, came out of nowhere, I'm
Mhm.
like, "Ooh, I suddenly have these feelings that I haven't felt in a
Yeah.
while," right?
Well, I think it's important too for people to understand, like, even though we do this work,
Oh my god.
we're not immune to it. Like, right now I'm working on crop tops. Like,
Right.
I'm probably, like, the strongest I've ever been, but
Uh-huh.
I've been working with a coach named Allison McHale who, like, shout out, we fucking love her. We love her. So I'm the strongest I've ever been, but, like, I grew up as an athlete, so I'm not the smallest I've ever been,
Mhm.
but I'm, like, absolutely way stronger now, and, like, my blinds are, like, right there. So, like, adapting that has been really interesting. So I'm
Right.
working on crop tops and I'm
Mhm.
like, listen, we're not immune to like
No.
not feeling confident or like an inner critic where like, I don't know if you have this, but like I still have days where like I feel like I look bigger than the day before. And I'm like, Amanda, it's not realistic that you gained 10 pounds overnight. Like
Right.
that's absurd. You look the same. And also, who cares? So,
Right.
like, so we have to do this work too,
Yes.
and I
And
just I think that's important that people know that because I think sometimes people are like, "Well, you never struggle with this." And I'm like, "You see 3% of my life. Like,
so
you don't live in my
true.
head."
So true. Okay, so there is this,
Yeah.
have you ever watched Confessions of a Shopaholic? It's a
Is it the one
movie.
with the
Yes, yes.
I
S
yeah.
yes. So and she right, she's in, like, all this debt, and then she becomes,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
a financial, like, guru or whatever,
Mhm.
and her friends all like, "You are in all of this debt, and then you're gonna go tell people," and she's like, "I give great financial advice," and I'm like, "Some days, that's how I feel." It's like, I have no confidence today, but I'm giving great advice to other people
Yeah.
about having
Well, like,
confidence,
you're
but
practicing what you preach too, like,
right.
and when you were talking about, like, your best being different day to day,
Mhm.
sometimes your best is just showing up for everyone else and saying, "Okay, this is my job. So
Right.
I'm going to show up, and then the rest of the day, I'm going to be a sloth and take care of myself. Like,
Yes.
you'll find me on the couch in a burrito blanket,
Yes.
recharging. But like some days that's the best is to just
Mhm.
show up to do your job. Like that's the best you can do some days. And that's
Absolutely,
okay.
absolutely. Right. No, and I think it's good as well for people to know because they sometimes think they're gonna get there. They're gonna get to this
Mhm.
point where I'm done. Like, I made
I'm
it.
done cooking.
I'm all right. I'm all good now. And the thing is it's a
Yeah,
process. And
it's
so
yeah.
there's gonna be like amazing days and there'll
Mhm,
be kind of less amazing days.
mhm.
And the thing to remember is that for those less amazing days, if you are regularly doing that self-care, if you've done that work on your inner critic,
Yeah.
is that they're gonna be a little easier than they used to
So
be.
much easier.
Or a lot easier, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I tell people, like, when you're doing this work, the thing that we're working on comes less frequently, it stays for less time, or it
Mhm.
becomes less intense.
Right.
Sometimes all 3, but, like, at least one of those three. So I'm like, if it's as intense, but it comes half as much, that's a win.
Right.
Like,
Right.
that's a win. Even the fact that people, like, I have a client who's worked really, really, really hard on this. Like, they were so critical to the point they were making themselves suicidal.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
it was bad. And I was
Mhm.
like, damn. Which is devastating because they are like
So much.
the
The nicest
sweetest.
person. Yes.
The sweet. I'm like, what is life?
Right.
So they have come to the point now where they're like, I realize my brain is being ridiculous.
Mhm.
I can counter it. I can talk my brain out of it. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh,
That's
that
amazing.
you
Right.
never get any better. Like,
Right.
that's enough.
Right.
That's enough. Like, you don't want to die anymore.
Right.
And like
That's huge.
the thing making them suicidal was literally their inner critic. Like,
Mm.
so everyone is doing the most right now. So we like just everyone. Why are you doing the most? So we healed that, and it's like that became the spider web that like everything else could get better, because if your inner critic is too harsh or too loud, you can't like find the confidence to try new things. You can't
Right.
find the courage to try new things. So like it just talks
100%.
you out of your life.
Yep.
And that
It's
is
telling
so
you you're
devastating.
gonna fail at everything. It's gonna tell you, like, maybe nobody's gonna love you. You're not gonna
Right.
find the right partner. If you're maybe unfortunately ended up in a toxic relationship, it's maybe telling you you're not gonna get any better. So why would you,
Yep.
try to
Why
get
would
out of
you
this
try?
one?
Yeah.
Exactly. And, it might be stopping you from looking for a new job or starting
Everything,
a
all of
business
those things.
or
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it does it. I love this. You keep talking about this like spider web thing. I love that because
Mhm.
I think it is really central for a lot of people.
Just
You getting out
just
of the way
ignore
of the
me. I'm
light.
just struggling
You're
today.
fine. You're fine. I'm kind of hunched down. Like I like to share this. So the best sound quality I get is in my husband's closet. So I'm actually in
Yeah.
this like little
Yeah.
closet.
They're gonna see it
Um
on YouTube, don't worry.
and
You
I'm
wanna
like
like
trying to
unmentioned.
move it so you guys can't see his clothes and stuff. And I'm
You wanna judge them. Yes, Madge, I know. Hi. Yeah, someone's here. I'm just literally in the middle of something. Everyone.
I love
Welcome to
it.
my inner critic that's like, everyone is gonna think this podcast is garbage, but this is great. You're doing fabulous.
Oh, my thank you. Thank you.
You
So are
are
you.
funny. Where's your
Thanks.
accent from, by the way?
Oh, so I'm actually from Scotland.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, I'm from Scotland. I have lot of people are gonna listen to this and go, that is not a Scottish accent. You are correct, people. It is not a Scottish accent because I have lost it. It is some weird hybrid Scottish American
I
thing that
actually
I
think
have
it sounds
going on.
Scottish.
You think?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay,
thought
that's
so.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. It
You're
comes
like,
out a
good.
lot
No one else
when I
did.
talk, right? I talk to my family and it'll like, it'll talk like come
Oh,
out
right,
quite a
right.
bit. And then obviously, there's certain words and stuff that I say different and like
Yeah.
at work and those kind of things. That's always fun. Like, okay, so I've lived in California for like 6 years, and it literally was like 2 months ago that I discovered that you guys don't put an H in the word yogurt. And I was like,
No.
there's no H in yogurt? And my husband's like, yeah, we don't say yogurt. He's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, this is just not right. And like
You guys
my
do it wrong.
right. And my Microsoft Word is constantly telling me, like, we're showing you this as a spelling error because you have said you want US English. And I'm like, yes.
Ugh,
Okay.
damn you, Microsoft.
Right. Right. So yes, but yes, no, I'm from Scotland. I've been here about 6 years in California. So yeah, it's hot here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely different from Scotland. We have two Clydesdales, which are like Irish Scottish
Mm.
giant horses. And every summer, oh, these poor things just like so wet. And I'm like,
Overheated.
I know this is not your climate. I'm so
Right.
sorry. So we
They're
have
like,
a
where's the
hurricane
rain?
fan. Right. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're sweating. And their hair is so thick. And I'm like, I don't know.
Oh,
I love you. We have to like shave their legs. You know, they have like the
oh,
really furry
mhm.
legs. Like I have to
Yes.
shave them with sheep shearers
Oh my
because they're
goodness.
so thick. And I'm like, don't kick me in the head. Which they haven't, yeah, which I'm really grateful for.
They're
But
probably just really thankful you're cooling them off.
yeah, listen, They are so spoiled. We have a big hurricane fan for them, and they both just stand in front of the fan like Beyonce. They're just like living their best summer life. I'm like, yes, bitch, Beyonce.
Right? I love that.
They're so funny, dude. They're a mess. And they're both like, this has nothing to do with anything. They're both like big puppies. They'll just follow you around and like
Oh my,
beg to be pet. And I'm like, can you guys not? And they're like, we're neglected, mom.
right?
I'm like, okay.
You're like, oh my god, next you're gonna be like begging for food and on my lap. Like,
Well, they're
let's take
also
it
always
easy.
hungry. You know, they're
Right.
starving. They have like 25 acres of grass, but they're so hungry.
Right?
They're so hungry. They've never seen food before.
That's kind of like my kids. Like
Oh my
they're
God.
little snack monsters all the time. And it's so funny because so like one of my old colleagues, she was like so when she first started, and I swear it was like a month in, she's like, because she was upstairs and I was downstairs, she's like, every time you come in here, I swear you have a different snack. And I'm like super proud of that. Like that's actually kind of an accomplishment. But I'm a big snacker. And then my kids were just home for about a week and a half because unfortunately my son got COVID. And and I was like, I said to my husband, I'm like, oh my God, they just want to snack all the time. And he looks at me and I'm like, don't tell me I'm raising tiny versions of myself. I don't want to hear it. Like,
They're like, you're welcome, world. More me.
right? Like when your daughter's like, so my daughter's only 4, and
Yeah.
when she was 3, I called her my three-nager because she can be a little bit of a teenager and
Yeah.
just and she'll say things and I'm like, don't say things that like I would say to sketch them. I'm like, no, it's not.
That's funny.
Big
And then
mama
the
time.
opposite happens when you're an adult. You're like, you open your mouth and one of your parents come out and you're like,
Yes.
oh my God.
No, that has happened. And I'm like, no, like I
Yeah.
read a like a funny tweet or something, and it was
Yeah.
like this guy was like, I am not like my parents, I say while stuffing a plastic bag into another plastic bag. Like there are so many things we do that
Yeah.
like we got from our families.
I know, Madge. I know. You're very excited. Someone's here. It's very exciting. I'm not going to get up and open the door though. So how was your journey into entrepreneurship, like working? Because you want to talk about like mindset work. Welcome to entrepreneurship. So I can imagine like so much of your inner critic work helped with entrepreneurship
Yeah.
because I will die on this hill that like 90% of businesses fail, not because people can't do the steps. Like
Right.
entrepreneurship is, I mean, anything is just a series of steps, right?
Mhm.
But because people can't get past the personal development that you have to do
Right.
to be successful. Like I think that's why the majority of businesses fail.
100%. And actually, I'm super grateful that I kind of ended up in this because, like you say, I think it really has helped me. Are you okay?
Well, okay. I am so sorry. They're going to start pressure washing my house.
Because of course they are.
Of course they are. So let me go tell them this is the most batshit episode I have ever done.
I'm having a great time though. I hope
I know.
that I hope
Listen,
the listeners do
you're
too.
welcome, readers. This is basically a comedy show today. Let me just go tell them that like I need them not to start on this side. That's why my head is freaking out. Give me like 5 seconds. Please hold, readers. If you want to walk people through like anything that you'd like.
Something
I'll
I'll
be
share.
right back.
Yeah.
Please
Okay. Oh my God, this has been so much fun. Hello to everybody who's here. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you're finding it useful, and I would love to talk you through the question that she just asked me, but given in this typical episode fashion, I've completely forgotten what that question was. I hope she listens back to this. But anyway, that was it. It was I remembered. It was entrepreneurship and your inner critic. So I just want you guys to know that if you are thinking about starting a business and or going, into the entrepreneurship, that there is a lot of mindset work. And I think she's absolutely right in the fact that 90% of that of the people, they fail. And the reason for that is, hello, she's back. I just had a great conversation with myself where I couldn't remember the question that you asked me. And then suddenly I remembered it. And so I started kind of talking
I'm
about
going
it.
to send you a present. It's just going to be like a freaking rolling pan for your ability to roll with today.
Beautiful. I love it.
Okay, continue. You were
Yes.
being brilliant.
Yes, I was basically saying that I agree with you that there's a lot of, like, mindset work that comes with being, an entrepreneur, and a lot of them that fail, it is because of that part, because there is so much failure in
Oh, yeah.
being an entrepreneur, so much, and, you know, we we sometimes get told, like, success is just around the corner, and
Mhm.
so one of the things I find, and I did succumb to it myself, where I was, like, putting all this work in and all this time, and I kind of got to the point of, like, burnout because
Yeah.
success was just around the corner,
Mhm.
whereas what I really needed to do was take a step back and make sure I was taking care of myself along with trying to
Yeah.
work on my business. So, it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Let's say that. It has been a lot. When I first started my business a couple of years ago, God, 3 years ago now, um, I think I was very naive when I came into, you
If
know
you aren't, you don't get into entrepreneurship because
right?
if you know what it's gonna take, you're like,
You're not doing it.
nope.
Right? Hard pass, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I was very naive and, actually, unfortunately, my first business coach, because I hired a coach to kinda help me
Yeah.
navigate the world, and unfortunately, we didn't completely align on terms of, like, what I was trying to do. They
Oh,
kept trying to push me towards, like, the weight loss area, and I
yeah.
was like, "Okay, I get that, but, like, that's not what I wanna do," and they're like, "Listen, your program has a lot of integrity." They're like, "I just don't think it'll sell." And I was like, "That's awesome, like, that's what you wanna hear." So, there has been a lot of tears on this journey.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of, just kinda working through and getting confidence in, like, what
Mhm.
it is that I do and understanding that I can help people and it's okay to wanna have integrity and you don't have
Yeah.
to, like, go and do what other people are doing. It's okay to walk your own path. So,
Yeah.
um, it's not always easy.
Well, I think that's one of the secrets too, though, is to like build your business in a way that you're proud of. Like a lot of
Right.
people, I was, how do I want to phrase this? I was doing a lot of work with our county. And the person that I was under for the contract, like ran a very financially successful business,
Uh-huh.
but ran a business with no integrity because
Right.
he has no integrity. So, like he would talk about like, "Oh, I want to be your mentor." And I'm like, "I don't want you to be anywhere fucking near me. Like,
Right.
I don't
Right.
want you, I don't like the way you do business. So like, why
Right.
would I listen to you?" And I think a lot of people forget that like maybe a business can be very financially successful, but it has no integrity. They don't
Right.
take care of their people, employees, or
Mhm.
customers. And it's like
Mhm.
that's not the only marker of a successful business. Like I'll take
Mhm.
a business that makes less money,
Yep.
but is very, very firm in what is doing what is right
Right.
any day.
Absolutely.
Any
Absolutely. Yes. And for me, it's such a hard thing, and I was chatting to, a couple of people after this had kinda happened, after I had this personal experience. There was a couple of people I reached out to, Larissa Nicole, she's lovely, was one of them. She's also, well, she used to be a coach, she's not anymore, but at the time, she was kind of a coach in the same sort of space, and I
Yeah.
was just like, "Hey, I haven't known you very long, but, like, blah," and she was
Yeah.
like, um, she's like, "You're fine." She's like, "I can't tell you how many, like, business existential crisis I've had." She's
Oh
like,
yeah.
"It's like a business identity crisis," right? And so she was so great, and I think that sometimes we forget that when we're doing these things, even if it is personal work and it's internal, that we don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
Um, and that it's okay to have people support you. And it's okay to recognize that the support that you need might not be the current people who are in your life. And that doesn't mean there's not space for those people. I'm not saying,
Yeah.
hey, cut off from your family because they don't support you. Like that's not my jam at all. But it's, hey, like you maybe need, a little community, maybe you need just one person, whatever it
Yeah.
is that you're looking for. There are people out there who want to support you, and there
Yeah.
are people who are aligned with what you think or
And it just means
what
you
you're
need
looking
those
for.
people for that thing, right? It's not
Right.
like you leave these established
Right.
relationships. You
Right.
just go find people who can also give you what you need in that
Yes.
space. And I think that's important for
100%.
any life transition that you're going to.
Mhm.
If you're going to a new field, if you're becoming a parent, if you go
Right.
through a breakup, if you get into a relationship, like each new journey is going to require like a person who can walk that journey with you. And maybe
Yes.
that's the people in your life currently, and maybe it's not. Great if it
Mhm.
is, but if
Right.
it's not, like, it doesn't mean you're just like, well, buck off, like,
Right.
see you never. Like,
Right.
it's like, okay,
Exactly.
for this particular part of my life, you aren't the person that I go to, which I think is totally fine. And then you have to do the inner critic
Absolutely.
work to say, like, you're not being mean, you're not leaving these people
Right.
behind. Like,
Right. No, absolutely.
you're
And
just developing.
I think that's sometimes the mistake that people make is that sort of assumption that they have to keep going to these
Mhm.
like people who maybe aren't
Yeah,
the right fit. And maybe it's just not, you're just asking something of them that they are just not capable of from where
right,
they're at in their personal
right.
journey,
I
you
can't give you a
know?
pizza if I don't have one.
Right. So, yeah, so it's about finding kind of the right support. And I know there's so many, there's tons of like Facebook groups and if you're looking
Mhm,
to be a mom, there's lots of mom groups and
mhm.
there's I know a lot of people have a hard time meeting new people. That's kind of the hard part when you have an inner critic, right? Is it's like,
Sure.
yes, I need support, but like meeting people and talking to people sounds
Yeah,
terrifying. So
yeah. But so much of the root of growth is holding space for that inner critic and saying,
right.
"You're not actually gospel.
Right.
Like, you're just a story."
Right.
Oh,
Yes.
I could talk to you for a long time. You are a
Right?
doll. You are
This
fabulous.
is fun. Thank you.
I
And
know,
you're
we're
making
gonna
me
have to do
feel
more than
great
one.
about myself.
Ooh,
It's super fun.
literally a rolling pin. Please send me your address. Just email it to me.
I love it.
So if people forget this whole episode, which
Right.
please don't, because this was probably the most fun episode and the most like batshit episode I've done. So
Right.
bless you, dude. If they forget everything we said and they only remember this thing you're going to tell them, no pressure, what would it be?
No pressure at all. Okay. Gosh. See, what's really flashing in my mind is that I'm like, earlier I heard you say, if you only remember one thing from this episode, let it be this. And I was like, oh my God, she's so right. And I can't remember what it
I
was.
don't know.
No.
I don't know either.
Okay. Let's try to pick some other words
Now
of
I have to
wisdom.
remember two things: that one thing back then and
Right?
this thing now.
Beautiful. Okay, so our other words of wisdom coming from this episode today is that yeah, let's just say inner critic, it's a process. Nobody is going to turn off the switch completely in like one day, and you're going to have days like you might have bad body days, you might have days where you wake up and you know what, you don't feel that great about yourself, but you're still worthy every single day. You haven't failed and you just keep going. You deserve it. You deserve to feel great about yourself every day. And yeah, if you aren't on this journey yet, I would say please do take a look because you deserve to feel great.
Yes, ma'am. How do they find you? If they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, I love Sam."
Yeah. So my Instagram is my username is girl hates salad.
Love it.
So because I don't think that healthy should have to be a salad every day. That's where that really came from. And I'm not a big fan of salad. So carbs are my ride or die. Okay. um but yeah, so they can find me on Instagram, girl hates salad. I also have a Facebook page with the same, and then I do have a free Facebook group. It's called Silence Your Inner Critic: The Confidence Makeover. And so, yeah, if you guys want to come join us, and every week I do like a little episode of the Confidence Makeover, which has been a lot of fun. And so, if you guys want to come join and check it out, I would love to have you.
Amazing. Dude, thank you.
Yeah.
You have been so fun.
Oh,
So
thank you.
Educational and fun. Like we stand. You're
You
such
know
a
what's super funny is like today I was like, I said to you, I'm super tired.
Yeah.
And I literally like I don't think there's anything else I could have done this morning that would make me feel like this great, even though I'm this tired, you know? Like it's
Yeah.
just been such a great, like, I am so ready for this day. Like,
Right?
let's do it. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, dude, no, thank you. Thank you. Okay, y'all go work on that inner critic. We love.